577 in the big book. Today we learn about shatnez. The issue of kilayim of when it comes to garments only applies to wool and linen. It says, "You shall not wear shatnez." Translation of that is one word translation is hard, but the idea of mixing together wool and linen together. You have in the islands of the sea this kind of wool type thing that grows in the stones in the salty water. It looks like gold. It's extremely soft. So the kalach shema, it's called kalach. Is that moss? I'm not sure. The translations here don't seem to suggest that. It's some kind of, here it says citrus blossoms. Whatever it is, maybe a kind of moss taka. But also now in Pishna Marasayin, you're not allowed to wear that with wool, actually with flax, because of Marasayin. It looks like wool. It's similar to sheep's wool. Stam tzemer is tzemer sheep's wool, but that's in general. Similarly, silk and kelach are also because of marasayin. Since silk resembles wool and actually resembles pishtim in this context, and so silk resembles linen and kelach resembles wool. Yeah, therefore it's also because of marasayin. Even though be'etzim each one of them with the others mater is fine, but it looks to the eye like woolen. A base. Rachel bas is a sheep, a ewe, E-W-E, right? Bas is the mother is a goat. I guess the father was a sheep, which is why it gave birth to a sheep-like thing. Samra ain't like love mishum kilayim. There's ma'ater, you're not chayiv malchus for wearing the wool of that animal with flax. I will also be the invitation marasayin. However, the chum forbade it because of marasayin. Obviously, if it looks like wool. Now, what type of connection is considered a connection? Any way you connect wool and linen together, have a kilayim ma'ater. I'm not an expert. People could. We'll see. You can. Yeah, we'll see soon. There's ways to tell. A shatnez checker for sure could. Yeah. So
he puts the drops on.
So there's different ways. Before that, they had there's ways to check. So forensic science for sure could see. Right. That's how they. Okay.
It's not hard science.
Good. So. By the story is that depending, the question is what's the mix? If it's two halves of one garment, you could see the difference. So the question is, you're saying if it's one thread, how do you tell? Good, we'll discuss that. So any way you connect wool and linen together, here's a kalam that's a biblical kalam. For example, tero pishtim, wool and linen, shetarf and zaim zeh that were mixed together. And then you comb them together. And you made them into like a smooth mass. That's considered kilayim. Tarfan, if you comb them, excuse me, they were mixed together. The tava isim and you comb them together as one. And then you made a garment from this combed fabric. That's also considered kilayim. So all these different ways of mixing are considered kilayim. Base gimel to me. Tafar beged temru peshal pishtan. If you have a garment of wool and you sewed it with fabric of linen, or even if you sewed this woolen garment with linen silk, thank you. Or you sewed a garment of wool with strings of pishtan, of flax, or linen, or a garment of flax with strands of wool. Or for that matter, if you tied woolen threads and linen threads together, you braided them together. Even if you put them together in a sack, and you wound them together in a way, not you stopped putting them in a bag, but you twisted the whole bag so it became wound together. That's all considered kilayim if you wear it. Even if you tied a braid of wool with a braid to a braid of linen, even though there's a strap of leather in between them. Similarly, if a person folded over wool and linen together and tied them together by folding it, that's kilayim. It says of wool and linen together. Any context, once they become united together, it's also dalid. How do we know these are all asur me'atayra? Maybe they're just asur me'darbanan. The Torah goes out of its way to permit kilayim when it comes to tzitzis. We learned halacha mishmi Sinai. The reason why the Torah puts the isur of kilayim next to the chiv of tzitzis is not. This is not the parasha of tzitzis Shema. This is the parasha of tzitzis elsewhere in the Torah. Kilayim is shatnez. Any forbidden mixture. The only reason why I tell you to do that when it comes to tzitzis, kilayim is permitted. If you have a woolen garment, you're allowed to put on it a string of tchelis and the other strings could be linen in theory, but the tchelah string has to be dyed wool, dyed blue, sky blue. And the tzitzis are not sewn into the garment; they're just tied with knots. But you see, if it's not tzitzis, if it's exact same kind of knot, but it's just a sama garment, that's ism b'Torah. The Torah would not go out of its way to tell you something which is only awesome Rabbanan anyways, because if it's not Rabbanan, it's not mentioned in the Chumash usually. Hey, there are some Ramazim, but it's not going to be mine in that context. So, hey, Kilayim she'ein le'shir. Kilayim has no concept of shir, like of bittul. There's no amount. Any amount is problematic. Even the smallest strand of a string of wool, the beged gola shall pish in a large garment of linen, or shall pish in b'tzemer, or the opposite. Aser is aser vav. Now here's a counterintuitive halacha. Hey and vav will seem contradictory. If you have wool from camels and wool from sheep, wool from camels is not a problem for Shabbos matter, right? Okay, or any other kind of similar garment, any other material for that matter that's not wool. That you mixed them together. The tafazeb mehen tevi and you combed it, you twined from it a thread. If half is from wool, and more than half, obviously the same would apply. We view the whole thing, since at least 50% is proper wool, we view the entire garment as proper wool. So you have all the strands of the garment, all the threads are twined or a mixture of wool with other material. Let's say camel's wool. So if 50% of the total mass is sheep's wool, we view the whole thing as sheep's wool. Therefore, if any amount of flax is mixed in this garment, it's kilayim. However, what if this material, these threads are 51% of camel's wool and only 49% sheep's wool? Then you could mutter, he says, not just potter. You're allowed to mix linen into this garment because we go after the majority that it is camel's wool. We don't care about the fact that there are strands of wool mixed into it because they are not threads of wool. So when you have wool and linen together, there's no concept of bittul. When you have wool or linen with another kind of material and it's batal b'reiv, then that material now can go mix with the opposite kind.
So in today's times, you have.
I don't know. I'm not a rav. It's not a halacha shir.
You have wool polyester.
Ask a rav. This is a halacha shayla. You have to ask a rav. This is the Shizar Rambam. Look at Shulchan Aruch. A lot of things are different.
He's giving an example of camel together with the.
So you're saying there's a plot of synthetics.
I'm saying if it is the din just roiv.
That's what he says. Yeah, roiv.
Right. So if you have 51% polyester and 49% wool mixed with linen, according to the Rambam, it's mutter.
The Rambam does not discuss synthetics. That's a contemporary kasha for a rav. Zion. Polyester is synthetic. You have to. That's a whole other kasha. It's not considered a beged matter. Zion. Therefore, if you have leather garments made of leather from sheep, even though these garments are they're sewn together with pieces of leather with wool strings, it's okay. Despite the fact that there are strands of wool hanging around, even though they get mixed up together with these strands of flax, with which you sew this garment of leather, the pieces together, because they're hemp, and flax, mixed together. Same principle. If the majority is hemp, and hemp with wool is not shat from Torah, it's okay for this material, which is 51% hemp and only 49% flax, to mix with strands of wool. If it was half flax, also that's problematic. Test. Make a garment that's 100% camel's wool, rabbit's wool, or hemp. And on one side you have a thread of wool. On the other side, the opposite side, you have linen. That's also, even though these two strands are not touching each other, because wool and linen are not mevatel each other. If the whole material of camel's wool now we're talking about a string of pure wool or pure linen. If the whole material, each thread individually, was from a manufacturer that used 51% camel's wool, that's a different story. But over here, we have a garment that's completely camel's wool. On one side, we have buttons that were sewn with linen strings. On the other opposite side, 2 feet away, we have buttons that were sewn with wool strings. That's shatnez, because those two can't be mixed together to each other. Yud. Beged segment from a woolen garment that was torn. You're allowed to connect it together with flax strings, not to sew it, but in other words, you're tying it. Because you tie it, at least you can't sew it. So here you're not sewing it. You have a garment of of tzemer that was torn. So you take like this, you make like a twist, and it calls it up. You make like a knot with a string of linen, and that apparently is, according to Damim, okay. Okay, Yidalf. Levish Adam big December, big Depishim, B'chayg Alem B'chut. You're allowed to wear a garment of wool, and let's say I have a linen pants and a woolen shirt, and a B'chayg Alem B'chut. Outside you wear a belt. I don't know if this is halacha, but I'm myself, but this is not his opinion. Well, as long as you don't wind the cords together in a way and tie them between your shoulders, because that's going to tie the linen and wool garment. You're tying the garments together. So that could be, in other words, it seems like the Ram is talking about a case. You have to make sure that the wool and linen are not touching each other. That has to be something in between. That could be what he's saying, I think. Okay. So he's saying you can't tie them together with cords. Again, provided when he has attached it over here, provided he does not wind together cords of each fabric and tie them between his shoulders. So then, if the cords can't be made of wool linen. That's the word. They could be like a leather belt. That's the word. Okay. Yudbeis Kilayim gadim, shatnez garments. You're allowed to make them. You can sell them. Not also bahano. You can't wear them. But ain't also elevation. The only problem is wearing them. Or to cover yourself with them. You're not really wearing it, but you're just covering yourself with it. Let's say it's raining. You have a shmata of shatnez. You cover yourself to get rained on. You're not wearing it, mamish, but it's still a problem. Shemar says, "Lo yisul b'shatnez, don't wear shatnez." That's one thing. V'nemar lo ya'alecha, they should not come upon you. So haliyah shehid derech levisha aser, putting it upon you in a manner of wearing is aser. Avaliyah she'ein derech levisha. So it has. So yeah. So the putting it upon you, it's not considered wearing it. Going to oil shu kilayim if you have a tent and it's made of kilayim shatnez mutalish of tachav, you may sit under that tent. I was on Shabbos by the oil, and they had what's called army blankets. Army blankets are recycled material. Now, the guy who recycles the blankets doesn't care what the material is made out of. He's not Jewish. Mama shatnez. So, all right. So I have to tell the management, yeah? But they did, I'm not going to tell you. Oh, 1 second. We'll talk about Mikshel in a second. It's allowed, you're allowed to sit under spreads, like some kind of canopy thing. Not a mamash tent. It's more like more closer to your body. It sounds like not mamash roof. That's kilayim. Shneimar, it says you can't come upon your body basically. I'm sorry. You're allowed to sit on top of, what did I say? You're allowed to sit on top of spreads of kilayim, like on a mat. It says you can't go on. I can't go on you. You can put it under you though. So sofa made out of wool. Oh, 1 second. That's not. It's okay. Even 10 mats, one on the other. The lowest one is kilayim. Also, you cannot sit on the highest one. Maybe one string comes run around your flesh. So we're talking about things that theoretically could move. Now, if it's a sofa, it's firm, can't bend. That's another question. If it's soft, go in Yorish Smallies like the curtains and sheets. If it's hard, so it can't really bend, go in Kari Muksasis. These are different kinds of pillows and cushions that are back then were hard. You're allowed to sit on them and to lie on them as long as your flesh doesn't touch them. So if you're lying on a mattress of shatnez, make sure you're wearing socks and gloves and full body pajamas and a ski mask. Okay. If your body touches them, then we're chayshish that there's that's too close for comfort. I guess that's the word. You have curtains that are kilayim. There were soft curtains. You're not going to wear the curtains, but where's the shamish? Anybody for that? But the shamish's job is to clean the dust under the curtains, right? He's gonna, use it as a guard. If the heat is broken, he'll wrap himself in the curtains while he's cleaning. Talabasar, it's gonna come in his flesh. If it's a hard curtain that can't really bend, but it's okay. Tezvav. Minol shu kilayim. What's the gears about you? Minol shu kilayim. The ain le akev. Doesn't say ella akev. Okay. That's a problem. But okay, good. If it's a shoe that it's kilayim and it has no place for the heel. Mutal love you're allowed to wear it's kilayim. Because the heel is a hard part of the body. And it doesn't have hana. So therefore it's not considered like bending from shatnez. Now, if that's the case, why does John mention that they have no heel? So because if they have a heel, then you have a problem because then it's impossible that your feet won't get some benefit from it. Dafki, if there's no heel on the bottom. From the side, and then we say it's okay if it's kilayim. That's how basically one of the pshatim over here. Other people say the Rambam actually meant because it's common in his time not to have heels, but if it has heels, it's also okay. It's not clear. All right, it doesn't. People who sew garments, right? Tailors. Sew is regular. And a guy's showing a jacket, or for a guy, he's sewing for a guy a jacket. Usually you put it on your lap. If it's a cold day, you're benefiting from it. But that's okay. Do your practice. So as long as your kavanah is not to benefit from the shmata, from the heat of the cold, the rain. But snoying, if the people who are very from take from the aris, they make sure the garments on the ground, not on their body. People who sell shmatas, you hang it over your shoulder, you're selling it in the marketplace. Can sell as as you do normally. Dama has much more marach over here. Before you said chama b'nei chama, he has a whole arichas over here. But the point is the same. You shouldn't have kavanah that this garment is protecting you from as a shade from the sun. Or when it's in the cold season that it warms you. But soon again, the people are very frum, mafshilum b'makal achrein. They have it hang over a pole behind them, so it shouldn't touch their body. You're dying. If you have an egg which is very hot or anything else you want to protect your hands, don't use a shmata kilayim. If you're not wearing it, the hand is protecting itself from the heat of the hard-boiled egg or the cold piece of ice you're picking up. So if I want to take a piece of shmata of kilayim to protect my hand, no. But over here it's considered benefit. It's cham asad because it's like you're wearing it basically because you're using it to benefit your hand from the The thing to possessing applies to all similar situations. That's for sure. That's mamish wearing kilayim. But even like a flat shmat, like one of those square things used to take the thing out of the oven. Yeah, good example. You have a shatnez. What's it called? Those things? A heat mat. Yeah, exact pot holder. It's a problem. They're abundant for sure. And that could be also.
You got to be careful. The pot holders that you buy.
I'm sure there's some guy in Lakewood who takes his pot holders to the shatnez laboratory. You're the best. The question is are you chayshish? If you know shatnez is a problem, you have to be chayshish. It's not. It's not normal that I imagine so. Find out. All right, this ches. A person not wear kilayim even temporarily. You're in the store. You want to try on a jacket just to see what the size is. You shouldn't do that. Even if you're wearing 10 jackets or 9 jackets, the 10th one doesn't do any difference. Still, it's a problem. Even if you want to fool the tax collector, right? You're coming into the U.S. You're selling suits. You'll wear one suit. You declare 99 suits, and one of the suits you're not going to pay taxes on because you're wearing it. It's my suit. I'm not selling it. Then you take it off. You sell it. You want to escape the tax collector. So you're doing it not to benefit from the garment, but just to escape the taxes. So still, it's not. You shouldn't do it. If you do it for that reason, you're chayiv malchus.
So to try in a suit store, then you took it to the shatnez deal. He says inside the collar shatnez, I'll take it out from you. So when you put it on the chatchila to try it on,
you shouldn't do that. If you know it's shatnez.
If you know, but let's say that's the whole point. That's why you take it to the shatnez.
So 1 second. What you're chayiv to another conversation. The question is, let's say if a suit, for sure shatnez. You go boss. Yeah, they're all shatnez, right? Because the collars are linen. Fine. You want to try it on just for the sizing purpose. You're not allowed to. Right?
Because you know that.
Yeah. You test. And also, mashum kilayim el begadon. Yeah. And also, mashum kilayim el begadon. Again, this is Rambam. I'm looking at Shulchan Aruch for more details. Some of the Shulchan Aruch, I think, is something that's more machmir than Rambam. Some is more mekel, as far as I recall. You test. Which siman is it? I think it's let's see, Shin Aleph. Okay. Ein also mishum kilayim el begadon mishim da chimum begadon that are problematic for kilayim means they're meant to protect you from cold, to warm you. You're going haksainis like a long shirt, mitznefes and a hat, mechasayim and pants, avid and a belt, simla and a dress, begadim shmechapenes shekayim and pants that cover your knees, knickers they call them, right? Yadayim and gloves, things like that. About tzilin, but like a gartel, a small belt, right? So that people wrap around their hands, in order to count money. To hold money, excuse me. To hold spices, the samartut, and shmata. Yeah. That you put on some kind of bandages. Case of pen. That's motor. Flesh touches it. You're not wearing it to warm your body. You're wearing it just for the purpose of convenience. But to wear, and if it's for design, it's also a problem as well. The erechim, I think, means the vort that it's meant. The truth, I don't know. Maybe a tie for shatnez is okay. It's pure decoration. I don't know. The Rambam says, yeah, the erechim to wear is for some. Listen, if it's hot outside, you like to wear only one. No, not right. Like walk around like the people that wear only bathing suits. But it's not tznius. But the point is, you're still being protected by the garment. Okay, chaf tzitz, like a tzitz, like a piece of a forehead piece. Shel of leather, a mesh or silk, things like that. You hang on them strings of wool, strings of linen. That they hang on the person's face in order to make the flies run away. So like it moves back and forth. It shoes to fly away. And by mishum kilayim, you have a hat like this, and you have hats with they sell like big hats with like strings hanging down all the sides. Yeah, there's no problem with kilayim. That's not to protect you from warmth, just to get the flies away. There's no flies, you take it off. Excuse me. Hamanig behemoth umachas chavom techyade is someone who is leading animals, and he holds the leashes in his hands. Right, you're a dog walker. You have 5 dogs, 5 leashes each, 1 leash each. Some are made of linen, some made of wool. It's mutter af pisha dog hook. Even though you wrap it around your hand, because again, it's not to wear, to warm you. If you tie them together, then it becomes like Kilayim. So you can wrap it around your hand, but you can't twist them together. Apparently, okay. Towels you use to clean your hands. I didn't say yeah. So you have towels, hand towels with and the cloths used to wipe down kalim and plates or the ground even with it says by you. The bachas and the mantle of a Sefer Torah, the bachas svarm or other svarm of Tanakh, certain mishum kilayim. It's also because of kilayim. Why should I people touch their hands? You hold the Sefer Torah, and I guess back then it wasn't tailored perfectly, so it would wrap around your hand, and that's a problem. It warms your hands. Chaf base, oasis, a signal piece, like a ticket. That the laundryers and the weavers make for clothing. Everyone should know it's his, like a name tag. If the ticket was made of wool and the garment was linen, or the opposite, that's usher. Even though you don't really care about it, still it's usher. Chaf dalet. You have a garment of wool, a piece of wool fabric and linen, and you put the needle through it one time, just one piercing. You don't pull it back, just one way through, one way. And the chibur vein that's not considered a connection. That's not kilayim. It's not a problem. However, if he gathered the 2 heads of the thread and tied them together, so he tied it. Like after he does this, now he goes and makes a full knot out of it, or he bring the needle back the other direction. Now you have it's gone through in both directions, left and right. So how many is it kilayim? That's considered kilayim. Chafei. You're allowed to make kilayim for mace. She'ein la mace mitzvah. Maceim don't have a mitzvah. Now, even though you're not supposed to taunt a mace by having your tzitzis out, and if you hear you're taunting him, like you're telling him not having kilayim, it's the chor of the word is that but it's not a problem because even during a lifetime, a person not benefit from tachrichim. Yeah. Okay, that's the chor of the word. Now, there's a famous question. Okay, good, but the chor you're mocking him. The chor you're mocking the dead by not letting by the fact he's not mechuyev in the mitzvah. So this answer is one of the answers is basically this is not considered hano. Okay, even if he was alive. Now, there's a famous question. The chorah tchias hamesim. The client, it's a famous kasha, it's a whole discussion. Good. However, to make a saddle for a donkey and to sit upon it, that's okay. But that's okay. As long as your flesh does not touch the actual saddle, so you're not wearing shorts, you're wearing pants. You should not, however, put the saddle blanket over your shoulder. Even you're putting it over your shoulder just to protect yourself from the dung you're carrying out. So you're not really doing protect yourself from the weather. It's just push it to you shouldn't get dirty. Still, it's also a corpse or an animal wearing kilayim. You're allowed to carry it on the shoulders. That's not a problem. Like we said before, when you're selling it. Chav Zayin. Over here doesn't say that the Tzurim don't do this. I guess maybe over here also. Okay, Chav Zayin. Now we talked about this before. I think someone raised this issue. You have a woolen garment, and you have one string of linen that got embossed somewhere. You don't know where it is. The opposite. Like it's a linen garment with a string of wool got lost. Don't sell it to a guy. Why? The guy can sell it to a yid. You can see. Would say you shouldn't make it to a saddle donkey, a saddle for a donkey. Maybe someone else will find the saddle donkey. He's going to tear it off the donkey. He'll make it into a garment. He'll wear it. But you cannot see the kilayim. If it's in a way you could see the kilayim, I guess it means there's a lot of wool or a lot of linen mixed together. That's not a problem. But if it's one string, you can't easily see. That's a problem. The kids, what can you do with this garment? You dye it. Wool and linen don't. So we're talking about so far where it's natural colors. Even that's somewhat different, wool and linen. But when you dye it, it looks very different. The same exact black or blue or green dye, wool and linen, doesn't look the same. You can see it and remove it. If you can't find it, it's mutter. You can assume, perhaps, a good chance that it fell out. Because you dyed it and you can't see it, you have right to assume that the good chance that it's gone. We already said, you should call the Yisrim Sfekas, Divasefim. The Rambam holds that the principle of Safek Deraisa, the Chumrah, is a Chiv Derabanan. Minatera, Safek Deraisa, the Kula. The Chum said the Chumrah, and therefore it's a Chiv Derabanan to be careful about this garment. Well, feel like it'll be a Safek. The Chamim, who said to be Machmir, we're making over here because you took the necessary measures of checking and dyeing it, etc. Chavches. Someone who buys a woolen garment from a guy, Macy's, yeah? Or Macy's, oh my God, whatever it is. You have to check it thoroughly. Maybe they were sewn with linen garments. This is the famous reason why you have to check your clothing for shotness. Again, you have to be a garment they would use theoretically linen. Okay, Chavtes. Kilayim, this is a fun halacha. Kilayim, someone sees this fellow walking the street, and the guy is he's wearing a Yugo Boss suit. He's wearing Kilayim Shatnas Deraisa. Actually, Yugo Boss, not just Shatnas Deraisa, but he's wearing a garment Shatnas Deraisa, whatever it is. Yeah, I believe so.
He's wearing a suit that has a label on it that everybody knows this manufacturer doesn't.
Even if he's walking in public. If you really rip it off the guy. But the Rama says this only applies if the guy is doing it, if the guy knows that he's wearing shatnez, doesn't care. Even if it's his teacher who taught him chachma, and you have to be careful with this covet. Still, there's no covet over here. You cannot let the fact of honoring people's dignity displace a license to say the Torah.
He's doing it on purpose.
The Rama doesn't say that. I said the Rama said according to the Rama, lav dafka.
So let's say you have somebody that's not from, he doesn't know.
Good, ask it up. Why do we say when it comes to Hashavas Aveda, if it's dishonorable for me to involve myself, I'm a great Rav, and for me, or an older person, and therefore for me it's dishonorable to involve myself in a frivolous article, we say that the din is that if it's not your fik kvayda, you don't have to do the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda. It's a lav that's monetary. So therefore, it's not considered covered Shemaim, it's covered of the person's money. However, why do we say when it comes to Tumas Meis that a kohen is supposed to be Matam himself, and so in other words, when it comes to a kohen, we say that we don't care about the covenant of the kohen. We say that it's important too for him to bury the person.
He's a lot of weird shot. This is the Avnei.
So what's the kasha over here? What?
He's outside the base hamikdash.
No, this is not talking about that. That's the last halach in the parah. We're not talking about that now. So what's the kasha over here?
He's walking down the street, no?
Why is it comes to the case of Tumas Meis? So that by a kohen, it is first we said it covered that breeze is not deicha isser. I'm sorry, thank you. Now, it's the covet of the mace is deicha the isser of the kohen's tumah. L'chayra, we should say no. The kohen's tumah, the Torah is more important. Forget about the mace. We don't say that. Since the Torah specifies an exception, it says he has an obligation to be matam himself for his family, especially his sister who has no husband. It's only for his. That if his sister, he's not matam himself if she has a husband. So it's for his sister who has a husband, he's not matam himself because she has a husband to take care of her. However, mitzvah he is matam himself. However, that's the exception. So therefore, we displace the kohen's tahara, his honor, etc., for the sake of a mace mitzvah, has no one to bury her. So his sister has a husband, it's not mitzvah. The husband is going to bury her. However, if it's Ism Darabanan, so till now, talking about Shatnas versus Jadaisa. If it's Ism Darabanan, then we do say that cover that Bria supersedes it. Although the Torah says, now you ask a klutz kasha. Every Ism Darabanan is an Ism Daraisa. It's an Ism Torah to touch something which is Muksh on Shabbos. Why? It says that you cannot stray from the Sanhedrin Paskins. Right? The answer is that lav is an exception. It is displaced because of Kavod Abriyas. Therefore, if a person is wearing shatnez Rabbanon, he cannot take his terrorist jacket or shirt off in the marketplace. He can't remove it. You have to wait till he gets home. However, if it is shatnez Deraisa, again you rip it off right away. If someone wears Kilayim or he covers himself with Kilayim, like his Chayav Malkus. Okay? If he's wearing a suit of shatnez the whole entire day, he's only Chayav Malkus one time. If he takes his head out of it and he puts it back, or if it's not a shirt, if it's a jacket, some way you would define it as taking it off enough to be considered re-wearing it each time. Does it again, even though he didn't remove it entirely, there's a chayav for each action of putting it back on. He's chayav. When do we say he's only chayav one malchus for wearing the suit the whole day? He only gets one warning. If they keep telling him take it off, it's shatnez. And if you don't take it off, and if you shatnez is a lot, it's a matter of chayav malchus. But he keeps wearing it each time, doesn't take it off. And after each warning, he wakes the amount of time it takes to take it off, put it back on, which is X amount of seconds. Every time frame that he got a warning for, he's chayav malchus again. Even take it off. So the original ma'aseh of putting it on in the morning is enough to be chayav malchus for each subsequent warning. If Ruvain intentionally put the jacket of Kilayim onto Shimon, if Shimon is intentionally wearing it, the Shimon's chayav malchus. And the person Ruvain putting it on him, or if it's the Michshol, he's over for the issue of making him do an avera. However, if Shimon did not know that the jacket is Kilayim, and Ruvain was mazid, malbish like, and Ruvain's chayav malchus, potter, Shimon's potter. Lamed Beis. This is negate to the 3 weeks. The Kahanim, by the way, their beged, their garments had shatnez, right? If the Kahan wears his Kahan garments, big the Kohana, when he's not doing the avodah. Even though he's in the base of Mikdash, like his chayav malchus. Because the avnei, the belt, which is Kilayim. The truth is that it seems that the other garments were also Kilayim. The Rambam singles out the avnei because that's something that the Kohen Gadol wouldn't wear. He wants to apply to the most. That's what he writes to Kesef Mishnah. Okay, fine. Akapanim, because the garments were Kilayim, the Kohen is chayav malchus. The head to wear Kilayim, actually to chiyav, is only while he's doing avodah. She mitzvah say, which mitzvah says it's a chiyav. The Sayan, now he has a klutz kasha. The moment he finishes doing avodah, he has to right away take his clothing off. Like, how did it work? So there's a grace period. I think it talks about this. I think in Hilchos Pesach or Hilchos Avodas HaKabonos, Klei HaMikdash. Sorry.
If he has this, if he's in that time period, what is it called? That 20? How many?
No, it's his day.
It's his day. It's what? It's his day. That means he's doing avodah.
She's saying the whole day.
Yeah. No. Okay. He could be called at any second to do something.
Okay, good. You could say that. You could say that applies the whole entire daytime. Yeah, I hear that. Fine. It could be. Yeah. The kasha then is at night. At night time also is avodah. They have to finish the kabbanis. They stoke the kabbanis from the mizbeach at night. So how do you?
It only required one kohen.